Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Theology Cracked Open by Omar today. And today we are going to be covering the topic of the Synoptic Gospels and why some of the details in there are different. So let's just start off with a quick definition of the Synoptic Gospels. That would be Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And the reason why they're called synoptic is because they are really similar. When you read all three books, you can tell that there's a lot of shared content in there. And although that a lot of it is shared, there are some uh, differences which you can see that might seem contradictory, and that's what we want to tackle today. And so one of the other reasons about why we should talk about this is also to strengthen your faith, and also in case someone asks of you, whether that is a fellow believer or even a non-believer, you'll have something to talk about with them. Now, a quick background about the Synoptic Gospels is that they are technically ancient biographies. Now, ancient biographies aren't exactly the same as modern biographies. They have slightly different standards. However, the ancient biographies still were expected to be historically accurate, although they were more flexible when it came to minor details or even the ordering of events, which we'll be looking at in just a few more slides. So the three main reasons why there can be differences between the stories of the Synoptic Gospels is number one, paraphrasing and interpretation. Number two is abbreviation or omission. And number three is general reordering of events and similar sayings. Now, these three reasons don't explain all of the differences, but they will explain most of them. So, for paraphrasing and interpretation, most New Testament scholars do believe that we have the authentic voice of Jesus, but we probably don't have his exact words. And so, what that basically means is that the gospel authors are communicating the essence of the message. So, they are communicating the message correctly, but they just may not be using his exact words. And so, one of these examples that we can find in the Synoptic Gospels is in the Beatitudes between Luke and Matthew. And one of the Beatitudes says that the kingdom of God is for the poor, while the other one says that the kingdom of God is for the poor in spirit. Now, could Jesus have said both? He could have, but what most likely is happening here is that Matthew is just expanding more on the topic and focusing on the spiritual significance of the beatitude. So that's why in his it says that the kingdom of God is for the poor in spirit. Now our next one is abbreviation or omission. Now the authors did have an audience that they were writing to, and so this could also have influenced which stories they included and how they wrote those stories. So three key audiences here would be Romans, Greeks, and Jews. And the second reason is to make a point or to keep emphasis on a certain topic or a certain concept. Now, our last reason is reordering and reporting of similar events and sayings. Now, as I said before, ancient biographies are similar to modern biographies, but they are slightly different in their standards. And again, ancient biographies were expected to be historically accurate, so that is similar to modern biographies. However, in ancient biographies, they were allowed to reorder events or sayings in a thematic way or a topical way rather than having it be chronological, which is sort of the expectation for today's modern biographies, correct? And so we can see this in Matthew's order and in Luke's order of the temptations that Jesus faced after he got baptized, where where in Matthew's, jumping off of the temple was the second temptation, while in Luke's order, it is the third. And then worshiping Satan for the kingdoms was the third in Matthew, while in Luke, it's the second. And again, why does this matter? Why did we cover this today? Well, number one, it's so that you understand that that these apparent contradictions are not contradictions, but that there are actual reasons why they are different. And also, differences don't mean that there's an error, but that there just might have been a different perspective based on the three reasons that we covered. So thank you for joining today's Theology Cracked Open by Omar, and I hope to see you again soon.